It all started with a camera, not a fancy one, not the kind you'd expect from a professional photographer. Just a small, weathered camera found by a group of hikers on a late autumn afternoon. They were deep in the forest, far from the main trails, when one of them spotted it lying half-buried in the leaves. At first, they thought nothing of it. People lose things in the woods all the time: sunglasses, hats, even backpacks. But this was different. The camera still worked. Its memory card was intact, and what was on it told a story no one was prepared for. 1. The first photos. A simple adventure. The first few pictures seemed ordinary. A young man, maybe in his late 20s, stood at the edge of the forest. He wore a backpack, his hiking boots laced tight, his expression cheerful. He looked like someone eager to spend the day exploring. Other shots captured the beauty of the woods. Beams of sunlight breaking through the thick canopy, birds resting on branches, deer grazing near a stream. Each picture radiated peace, as though he was documenting the perfect weekend escape. But then, the story began to shift. 2. The change in tone. Halfway through the memory card, the photos took on a darker mood. In one image, the young man was no longer smiling. His eyes looked wider, almost nervous. His lips pressed tightly together. Something in the atmosphere of the woods had changed. The next photo was blurry, as though he snapped it while moving. You could barely make out what was in the background, but the hikers swore there was a shadow that didn't belong. Something tall and thin among the trees. Another picture showed a footprint in the mud, much larger than his own boot. Deeper too, as if whoever, or whatever, left it had been impossibly heavy. And then came the scratch marks. A photo of a tree trunk, 3 deep gouges carved straight down the bark. The hikers exchanged uneasy glances as they scrolled through. These weren't the kind of pictures a casual hiker would take for fun. These were evidence, documentation, almost like he wanted to leave behind a trail in case he didn't make it out. 3. The watcher in the trees. As the photos continued, the man seemed more frantic. His camera pointed into the distance, capturing strange glowing shapes. At first, they looked like orbs, reflections of light. But when the images were zoomed in, they appeared more like eyes. Pairs of them, watching, waiting. One photo in particular sent chills down the hikers' spines. The man had taken a picture of himself, holding the camera at arm's length. His face was pale, sweaty, his expression tight with fear. And just over his shoulder was a figure. It blended into the forest almost perfectly, tall and still. Its features were indistinct, almost as if the camera itself struggled to capture it. But its presence was undeniable. 4. The final frames. The last few images were erratic, tilted, blurred, rushed. You could almost feel his panic through the lens. A shot of branches whipping past as he ran. A photo of the forest floor, his boot just visible mid-step. Then black. The final image was nothing but darkness. Whether the camera had fallen face down or the man had dropped it intentionally, no one could say. But that single photo was the last trace of him. 5. The mystery deepens. The hikers, shaken, turned the camera over to the local authorities. Investigators combed through the photos. They searched missing person records. They checked with nearby towns and cities. But here's the strangest part. No one ever came forward to identify him. No missing person reports matched his face. No friends, no family, no coworkers. It was as if the man had appeared from nowhere and then vanished back into it. The police even released the photos publicly, hoping someone would recognize him. But nothing, not a single lead. 6. The legends of the woods. When the story spread, locals began whispering about the old legends of those woods. For decades, people had spoken about strange disappearances, hunters who never returned, campers who vanished overnight, their tents left behind but empty, unexplained lights in the trees, whispers carried by the wind. Some called it superstition. Others swore the forest was haunted. A few spoke of something older, a presence that watched from the shadows. And when they saw the photos from the camera, Many believe the man had captured proof. Proof that something or someone lived in those woods, hidden from the world. 7. The chilling possibility. Of course, skeptics dismissed it all. They said the photos could be staged. Maybe an art project gone wrong. Maybe a hoax meant to scare. But here's the question no one could answer. If it was staged, why didn't the man ever step forward? Why vanish completely without telling a soul? And if it wasn't staged, then what exactly did he see out there? 8. The lesson of the camera. To this day, the mystery remains unsolved. The man has never been identified. The camera sits locked away in evidence, its photos burned into the minds of everyone who's seen them. But one thing is certain, the camera told a story of adventure that turned into fear, of curiosity that became survival, of a journey into the woods that ended in silence. And maybe, just maybe, it's a warning, because sometimes the forest keeps its secrets. Sometimes it swallows people whole, and sometimes it lets a camera remain, just so the rest of us can wonder what happened. Closing, so the next time you find yourself deep in the woods, remember the man with the camera. Remember how quickly peace can turn to panic. And if you feel eyes watching you from the trees, don't wait to take a picture. Because in his case, the photos told everything. And still, they told nothing at all.